Did you know 1 in 6 children face some kind of mental health concern each year? And help is too often in short supply, especially in rural parts of Idaho. This Thursday, September 26th, Boise State Public Radio is holding a special event in Marsing to talk about rural mental health issues, and we'd like to invite you to come, especially if you or someone you know lives or works in Owyhee or Canyon counties. The event is free and open to the public, and dinner will be provided. So meet us at Marsing High School this Thursday, September 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. for an important panel conversation on building connections between teens, families, and their support networks. Find event details at boisestatepublicradio.org/events.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector, Idaho's daily news. Good morning, I'm Michael Scherer. It's Tuesday, September 24th, and here are today's headlines. Fees at state parks may be going up. The pedestrian-friendly Boise Open Streets event happened this weekend, and the risks are high across our region for landslides. These stories coming up. A Utah bankruptcy judge is ordering anti-government activist Ammon Bundy to comply with subpoenas and depositions from St. Luke's Health System regarding his finances. James Dawson reports.
Bundy filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in July, hoping to discharge a $53 million civil judgment after a jury sided with St. Luke's in its defamation case against him. Attorneys for St. Luke's asked the judge overseeing his bankruptcy case last week to let them subpoena his financial records and order him and his wife Lisa to sit for depositions. Judge William Thurman granted both motions Monday. During a required meeting with creditors, attorneys for the hospital system say Bundy invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination about 40 times when asked questions. They also accuse him of funneling his personal finances through corporations and getting political allies to hide his assets. In an email, Bundy said this motion is another attempt to make him and his family, quote, as miserable as possible. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
You can find much more on this story and another story outlining what Chapter 7 bankruptcy means on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. Open streets events are a simple concept. City roadways are temporarily closed to cars so that cyclists, pedestrians, and others can safely take them over. A number are held across the region, and the Mountain West News Bureau's Murphy Woodhouse went to Boise's first this weekend.
At noon on Sunday, dozens of cyclists started turning onto Boise's Latah Street, above the city's downtown. The car closure stretched a mile from Emerald to Cassius Street with the idea of promoting bike and pedestrian infrastructure, community building, and physical activity.
And what we're seeing along this section of roadway is people walking, rolling, biking, scooting, dancing. There's music, there's food, there's activities.
That's Nina Pinner, head of advocacy at the Boise Bicycle Project, which helped organize the event. She estimated some 3,000 attendees. Boise Bicycle worked heavily with local officials to put on the event and did significant outreach at possible locations. She had some advice for other cities thinking of something similar.
Keep persevering. Don't give up. Build your task team of people that have the same vision as you and the same goals, and just keep talking to people.
Similar events have been held in Albuquerque, Tucson, and elsewhere around the West. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Murphy Woodhouse.
A new federal map shows nearly half of the U.S. could experience a landslide, and the risk is especially high across our region. The Mountain West News Bureau's Caleb Bradle has more.
Landslides are a serious threat to communities in the Rockies and the Sierra Nevada mountains. Parts of Appalachia, southeast Alaska, and the California coast also face high risks. That's according to the U.S. Geological Survey, which just released an interactive map highlighting dangerous areas. Benjamin Muris is a researcher with the federal agency. He says the map is a tool that everyone can use.
Whether it's a person looking at where they live and frequent, or a decision maker looking at the areas they're responsible for, they can look and see which areas are potentially prone to landslides.
He says warning signs are slopes with large cracks in the soil and trees and telephone poles leaning over. Watersheds burned by wildfire are also vulnerable areas. Landslides can be triggered by extreme rainfall events, which are increasing due to climate change, as well as earthquakes and human development. Research out of the UK shows that globally, there have been more than 400 landslides this year, and they've caused more than 3,600 deaths. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Caleb Radel.
Camping at Idaho state parks could get more expensive next year. As James Dawson reports, officials are also considering changing the pricing structure entirely.
The plan presented to Parks and Rec officials Monday would boost minimum fees by $3 a night and implement a dynamic pricing structure. That means prices for a campsite or yurt would be higher depending on several different factors, like the current occupancy of the park or if it's during holiday weekends. Cabins at Ponderosa State Park, for example, will always cost $300 a night in the summer. But Seth Hobbs with Idaho Parks and Rec says prices will be cut in half for the shoulder seasons.
We'd really like to start driving those prices down so we can get more customers in and utilize those facilities more so.
The Idaho Parks and Rec Board did not act on the proposal. Some board members, like Hugh Cook, though, signaled their support.
I think that's really state of the art. I mean, we're not just a clipboard and a coffee can at the gate anymore.
Board members will again consider the new pricing scheme at their November meeting. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
State and federal partners will host the Idaho Small Business Cybersecurity Summit in Boise on Thursday. The free event aims to help Idaho's small businesses protect themselves from cyber threats. 43% of hacker attacks are directed at small businesses. Small businesses are 3 times more likely to be targeted by cyber criminals than larger companies. Businesses can attend either the morning or afternoon event, in person or online. A lineup of expert speakers will include representatives from the Idaho Department of Finance, U.S. Small Business Administration, Idaho Department of Commerce, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, Idaho Office of Emergency Management, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Idaho. The Idaho Small Business Cybersecurity Summit on Thursday is free to attend at the Idaho Response Center in Boise. Idaho court officials are warning of scams involving jury duty summons. There has been a recent increase in scammers pretending to be law enforcement officers and threatening that individuals pay a fine to resolve an outstanding warrant or failing to appear for jury duty. Anyone who receives a suspicious phone call regarding jury summons should tell the caller they will go to the jury office at the courthouse to verify the information. Do not call any numbers provided by the potential scammers, and never give sensitive information or payment information over the phone. Government officials will not ask for payment using gift cards or cryptocurrency. This week, Idaho officials and officials with the U.S. Department of Agriculture met with their Japanese counterparts in Idaho Falls for a plant health bilateral meeting. The U.S. officials are determined to bring fresh potatoes to Japan. Frozen potatoes have been sent to Japan to make chips since 2006, but it has yet to deal in fresh potatoes. Part of the process to export agricultural goods is completing a pest risk assessment. Japan has agreed for several years to conduct the assessment on Idaho potatoes, but they still have not. Exporting fresh potatoes to Japan would lead to an estimated $150 million to $200 million annually once opened, according to a press release from the National Potato Commission. Idaho is the largest producer of potatoes in the country, accounting for more than $1.3 billion in revenue in 2023, according to the governor's office. Idaho officials continue to put pressure on the Japanese government after years of trying to get fresh Idaho potatoes into their market. Idaho officials, with potatoes on their mind, will travel to Japan and Taiwan in November for a trade mission. And that's today's episode of The Connector. I'm Michael Scherer, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. To stay in touch with the news between now and then, check out BoiseStatePublicRadio.org or download the free Boise State Public Radio app. Thanks for listening.